Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Reptile Room. It's Eric again, and today we've got a couple new animals in that we are rearing up for breeding programs and for our zoo. So let's take a look at what we got. We have two things today, and we will start with the one on the bottom, I think. So this right here is Chevron, and Chevron is just a little baby, but this is called a pink-tongued skink. Like the blueies, these guys come from Australia, but they aren't as ground-dwelling as the blue-tongued skinks, which are generally terrestrial or fossorial, so they live on or under the ground. And these guys might exhibit that behavior a little bit as well, but if you look at them, they have these longer legs and this tail, which is a semi-prehensile tail, and they'll actually climb around pretty good. Now, I don't know how quick this thing is, but so far it seems really calm and really inquisitive. So take a look at that. That little baby is stinking adorable. And just absolutely a tiny little gal. Or guy, we don't actually know. And these guys are infamously hard to sex. So I'm sure we'll find out when it gets a little bit older. But take a look at that. It's adorable. A little pink-tongued skink. Endemic to Australia. I'm really excited to have this here. I think this is going to be a great ambassador animal for us. And I mean, you can already tell this thing's disposition is really calm. It's just a chill little thing, so super excited to watch this thing grow and work with it and do some little trust building exercises with it to see how this little one makes out. So that's super cool. I'm just going to pop it back in its deli and I'll get it in its enclosure a little bit later here. But what a neat little reptile that one is there. So we're just going to make sure that's all proper closed because, well, I'm sure these guys are pretty decent escape artists, so we want to make sure we're not going to have that happen on us. Okay, next up is for our breeding program, but also probably going to make it to the zoo one day. This is a really cool snake that I'm actually super pumped for. So we have a few African house snakes. We have some, most of them are Cape African house snakes, and we have some albino going. Now we also have a melanistic African house snake named Beetlejuice, and we've been looking for a good girlfriend for him, and of course this is a lot of growing to do yet. But this is a slightly different species from Beetlejuice, but this is a leucistic. This is also a Cape house snake. I lied. This is a Boegon fuliginosus, but this one has leucism, so we'll probably breed this to our Cape house snakes that have albino so that we can produce leucistic and albino cross, which should be really cool. That's kind of like a snow sort of looking snake, which will make it even lighter. But you can see this actually has blue eyes, which is really, really neat. And then curious to breed this to the melanistic as well, make some double heterozygous recessive babies, grow those up and breed them together so that we can see what leucism does on a melanistic house snake phase, because I'm guessing it's also going to make those whites a bit more significant. Or it might do something else entirely. It would be very interesting to see. There's not as many African house snakes in the hobby as there are like corn snakes and ball pythons, so I think they're super underrated. They're really cool snakes, and given that here in BC we can't actually keep garter snakes, these are a great alternative. Their size is relatively similar to that. Their behavior is pretty similar, and if we look at a cladogram, the relation is not. These are actually more closely related to things like mambas, kind of like the Malagasy giant hognose snakes that we saw earlier this year. But yeah, really cool snake. Super excited. Always love getting new animals, especially when they're animals that I haven't seen or worked with before. So this is super fun here. But that's all we got for today is these two. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you next time. And here we are, catching you the next time. So I've started putting together a tank for Chevron. I've got a nice background in there, and this is my substrate. It's a mix of coconut coir and play sand with a little bit of peat moss and other stuff mixed in there for nice consistency. Now, this is going to work well to support a bioactive ecosystem. Now I've got a couple hides on the right and the left there, made out of real wood, and then a water dish up front. And then from there I've added some live plants to help cycle the bioactive and add ambiance, as well as some climbing sticks so that Chevron has the opportunity to, well, take advantage of that arboreal nature. Now I've wrapped those sticks up in some vines. This is going to hold those sticks together while also offering some more climbing opportunities. And here's the moss. I really love adding moss to these things. It really makes it look alive. Back to you, Eric. Okay, we've got a little home ready to go for Chevron here. We got some UV lighting, we got some heat source going, we got some climbing opportunities to take advantage of that semi-arboreal nature. We've got a hide hidden behind here and a hide here, and lots of structure and cover so she can feel, or he can feel, nice and secure. We just got a couple finishing touches to add here before Chevron goes in. We've got these lovely little springtails. This is part of this bioactive cycle, so this is going to break down mold and decaying plant matter and recycle it so the remaining plants can use it to grow. These are non-harmful, and if they get out of the enclosure, they're not really going to survive in the building terribly long, so I'm not too worried about a springtail infestation. And then, aside from that, there's nothing in the morning to wake you up, like pill bugs in your cup. So we got some of those guys. These are little isopods that will also break down shed skin, leftover food, and feces from the skink, excuse me, into plant matter food as well. So I'm just going to dump them little isopods in there and let them take off. And hopefully they stay away from the water dish as much as possible, because isopods do have a tendency to try swimming, and although they're crustaceans, they are really bad swimmers. So we're gonna grab Chevron here, and we're gonna get him or her into the little enclosure so that they can get ready to settle into their new digs. There we go. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand here. Hey Chevron, how's it going? You enjoying being in a microwavable container? Now the container's microwavable, but for the record, skinks are not. Look at you, you're freaking adorable. And so relaxed for such a small little lizard. Now these will get a lot bigger. We're looking at about 18 inches nose to tail on this one day. And it looks like Chevron is, we did a little examination, looks like it's a probable she here. So, I mean, at some point we are going to be on the lookout for males, because these would be really neat to breed. They are live-bearing species. So there you go, Chevron. Welcome to your new home. It's a little fancier than the microwave cup. What do you think, dear? Do you like it? Look at that little tongue go. That's flicking it around, picking up molecules of scent out of the air. This is just how she's gathering information. Everything here is very new. So this is the hardest part now. If you remember from the Malagasy hognose snake video, we've got this little girl in her enclosure. Just gonna get the tail in there. I don't want to close that in the door. And now the hard part is I'm gonna have to more or less leave her alone for a week or so. Keep her fed, keep her water clean, and mist down the enclosure a little bit so it's like a little bit of rain here and there. But she ain't ready for classes yet, that's for darn sure. She'll need a nice settle-in period. There we go, get some rain going. And I should probably, in hindsight, wipe that glass off because our water's a little hard and tends to just leave stains. Oh my goodness, what have I done? It's gonna be a long day. Made quite a mess in here putting this together, but, you know, perks of the job, I guess. There we go. Hi, Saber! There we go. Let's give this a quick little wipe down. Clear our viewing window. Side number 2. And there we go. There's Chevron in her new little home. Welcome to the reptile room, Chevron.